Think $19 an hour is enough to live on? Think again. I'm going to walk you through every single deduction, line by line, with real numbers. By the end, you'll know exactly what you're actually making. After reality hits, taxes, healthcare, commuting, and hidden work costs, your paycheck is closer to $10.55 an hour. In the next few minutes, I'll break down exactly where nearly half your wage vanishes and why almost nobody ever calculates it this way. $19 an hour sounds decent. Multiply it out. $19 times 40 hours times 52 weeks equals $39,520 a year. That's the number in your offer letter. That's the number you mentally anchor to. That's the number you plan rent, groceries, and your future around. But that's not what your life is actually being paid. Let's shrink it step by step. First hit, FICA. Social Security and Medicare take 7.65%. On $39,520, that's about $3,023 per year, roughly $1.45 per hour. You're now at $17.55. Next, federal income tax. Assume you're single and taking the standard deduction of $16,100 under current inflation adjustments from the Internal Revenue Service. That leaves $23,420 taxable. Total federal tax comes out to about $2,562 per year. Now you're at $16.31. If you live in a state with income tax, and most Americans do, the average effective rate is around 4%. 4% of $39,520 is about $1,581 per year. That's roughly 76 cents per paid hour. Now you're at $15.55. Before you've driven to work, before you've paid for health insurance, before you've eaten lunch, just taxes. And no, this isn't a rant about taxes being evil. Taxes fund roads, infrastructure, defense, and Social Security, but they do reduce your usable wage. Now, healthcare. If you have employer-sponsored coverage, the average employee contribution for single coverage is about $120 per month, according to survey data from the Kaiser Family Foundation. That's $1,440 per year. Now you're at $14.86. But premiums aren't the whole story. On average, Americans also pay about $1,200 per year out of pocket. Deductibles, co-pays, prescriptions. Now you're at $14.28. Now let's leave the house. The average American commute is about 27 minutes one way. That's roughly 54 minutes per day. Most people imagine highway speeds when they think about commute math, but you're not driving 70 miles per hour door to door. You're dealing with lights, traffic, parking, congestion. A realistic mixed commute speed is closer to 28 miles per hour. 54 minutes is about 0.9 hours. Multiply that by 28 miles per hour, that's roughly 25 miles round trip per day. 25 miles times 260 workdays equals 6,500 miles per year. Operating a small sedan costs roughly 55 to 60 cents per mile when you include fuel, maintenance, insurance, and depreciation, based on estimates from AAA. Using 56 cents per mile, that's roughly $3,640 per year just to get to work. That's about $1.75 per paid hour. Now you're at $12.53, and that's just vehicle cost. Now the subtle stuff. Work clothes. If your job requires business casual or professional attire, maintaining that wardrobe can easily cost around $600 per year. Now you're at $12.24. Lunch. Yes, you would eat anyway, but work tends to increase food spending. Convenience meals, coffee, occasional takeout. A modest estimate is about $1,040 per year tied to working outside the home. Now you're at $11.74 per paid hour. Pause there. From $19 to $11.74, If this is making you angry, hit that subscribe button because we're about to get to the part that's really going to sting. Comment your hourly wage below. Don't round it up. We'll calculate the real number together. Your original $39,520 salary is now roughly $24,400 after taxes and common job-linked costs.
If we divide that by your paid hours, 2,080 hours per year, you're earning about $11.74 per paid hour in real, usable value. But your job doesn't consume only 2,080 hours of your life. It also consumes commute time. 54 minutes per day equals about 234 hours per year. So your job actually consumes 2,314 hours of your life annually. Now, divide your real take-home, about $24,400, by 2,314 total life hours consumed. You get approximately $10.55 per hour. That's the life-adjusted hourly rate. That's what each hour of your existence traded to this job is actually worth. That's not a budgeting problem. That's a math problem. The federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 per hour. After taxes, commuting, healthcare, and job-related expenses, you're clearing only a few dollars more than that per hour of life consumed. This doesn't mean your job is useless. It means the number on your offer letter isn't the number you're actually living on. We calculate income based on payroll. We should calculate it based on life consumed. Now here's why this matters. If you negotiate $23 an hour instead of $19, you don't gain a full $4 in real-life value. After taxes and time dilution, it's closer to about $2.40 per life hour. Still meaningful, but smaller than it looks. If you eliminate commuting through remote work, you remove roughly $3,640 in annual vehicle cost and reclaim 234 hours of your life. That alone can push your effective life hour rate closer to $13.30, a roughly 26% increase without working harder. If you live in a state with no income tax, you automatically retain about 76 cents more per hour compared to someone earning the same wage in a taxed state. These differences compound year after year. Your $19 per hour job delivers about $10.55 per hour of actual life value under typical U.S. conditions in 2026. The math isn't hidden, it's just rarely calculated this way, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Calculate your own life-adjusted hourly rate. Drop it in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, where we calculate money based on real life, not just the headline number, you know what to do. Because the number on paper isn't the number you live. Hit subscribe if this changes how you see your paycheck.